And once again, very good evening. And yes, this is also a good opportunity to, for me, to thank the organizers, of course, everyone who has contributed, who have made these occasions possible, so that you and I can meet like this, and yes, virtually also we are able to have some form of communication or some interaction, I suppose. And so for that I'm very, very grateful. Thank you so much for taking the time to make these occasions possible. And just as the Kiwi organizers mentioned, the March course, of course, that takes place here annually, is also an important one. And so for that, I also very much look forward to seeing all of you here, so that then once again we can take some time to focus on the Buddha Dharma. I haven't much to add on the importance, because and the importance of taking the time to focus on Buddha Dharma is something that is always present without having to be mentioned or repeated in general. And in particular, if I add, then walking on a fine line, let's say, meaning the fine line would be not to boost our ego in such a way that we think we know it all, meaning that as if we are teachers, you know. Yet at the same time, not using that as an excuse not to learn also. So it's a fine line. And so therefore each and every one of you who have participated over the course of time, who are also coming fresh as well, it's important to know that, you know, what we normally say, next generation, next generation. However that term may be used, nevertheless there is this excitement, let's say, in terms of how the next generation will continue, you know, how they will take it. So that is, the next generation doesn't necessarily mean, you know, physically, not necessarily physically young, but in terms of our interest, you know, how despite of our age, we could be very new to this, and therefore we are the next generation in some sense. And so therefore the hope is that every one of us may be able to learn as much as we can, yet at the same time not abuse the idea or the term of being a teacher. And so being humble, you know, humble in a way like how Shantideva says, that I do this for me, you know, so that I don't put myself in a position where I say I am the savior of all, but instead I do this for myself, and as I evolve, as I develop, then may others witness my development, and through that it may inspire everybody. So in that sense, we might term that as teacher, in that sense. So, and that's there, and so therefore each occasion that we find, like the winter course here and the spring one, are both great opportunities because we're able to gather great teachers. The teachers we have are very, from my personal point of view, very humble, and they're very much in touch with themselves, meaning that they're not maniacs in any sense. They are just being themselves, and so therefore there is something you can value and trust. They're not trying to teach you. They're not trying to lead you somewhere. They're really being themselves, sharing what they know, what they feel, and so therefore you are in very safe hands. So therefore I think there is every benefit for all of you to take part in it. So that's there. Yeah. So then beside that, then since you have requested yesterday for the lung of the Tara, the white Tara practice, I will first read that, and then afterwards we have a few Q&A. Then we focus on the Chenrezig, and hopefully it will be a good conclusion to this gathering. And it's becoming a little bit bad, mainly because of mobile phone. So I read it as the attainment of immorality. And I thought this must be the worst mix-up of printing, And immediately I wanted, of course, when Tabgar gave 2 days ago, he gave the gesture like tear it, the packaging, I tear it open, I just, like that I saw an attainment of immorality. Anyway, fortunately, yesterday, then by the by, I kept looking. So, immortality, okay, Of course, such term as immortality is out of goodwill, of course. As we say, for auspicious reasons, we use terms like these. But maybe it's like a method to use terms like these also, not just hope. To hope, no, not just hope, but to make us think, I don't know how this English term really comes into being. In the first part, I can recognize in terms of, in general, like a negation word, yes. Then mortal, so mort, or more. In most of the, English language refers to some sort of, death or fragile or deterioration or something. So then, of course, undying, and so therefore maybe it's a nice, skillful method to make us think about basically change, about flowing things. Yes. So in that sense, it's maybe a beneficial title, because of course the term we have in Tibetan is chime, and so even there, I think it is quite clear that it's a method, I think, to talk about it. We always need some sort of impressive name, impressive title to begin a conversation. Otherwise, it's all some sort of white noise, background noise. So, in that sense, maybe there is some understanding. Well then, we have some time, so therefore, concerning the topics we've had the last 2 days, and during this course, if you have some thoughts that you would like to share, questions that are related to that, then you're most welcome. Yes. Don't. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Karmapa, for your teachings, and I wanted to ask your thoughts about Guru Yoga, and because it seems that on the, let's say, Vajrayana way, the personal relationship, or I don't know if personal is a good word, but relationship with the teacher is very important, and it feels very personal, but that's at the same time, obviously, it's often not, because there's no, there's
no teacher.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think it's a long subject, yes. I suppose I would draw mostly on that part, which you yourself have already clarified. In order to get personal, or I don't know if intimate is the right term, or close is the right term. It's similar to what I said yesterday evening about even blood relation, which is sort of our society's most almost primordial foundation, to symbolize very close connection. And so therefore, of course, cultures like here in India or great parts of Asia, for a long time, and even in the West also many parts, basically where it's interesting in terms of if there is good food, it seems that there is family association. So without having to say east, west or anything, if there's good food culture, then there is something there. But anyway, that's not there or here. Otherwise it just becomes sandwiches from the vendor, and yeah, the list of nutrition is there on the back page or the cover, So the point that I was trying to make yesterday was saying, of course, it is absolutely true to say there is no teacher, but maybe that's too heavy, too too much in the face, yes. And no commitment, probably something that a man might say, and so so therefore Guru Yoga sometimes it could mean that maybe there is a feminine touch there, the opposite of non-commitment, and so therefore if you think that way, it's maybe interesting. Yeah. But rather than saying there is no teacher or emptiness, I recently thought of using the term which I used yesterday also, stranger. Yeah. The truth is we are all strangers to each other. Yeah. We have almost no connection whatsoever, even though we may be related by blood or parents, children, and so on, But at the same time, it's amazing that in Tibetan the term is almost more dramatic. Shata chepe lu, it's like sort of as if torn from my body, Well, basically to talk about blood relation, And the first and foremost is none other than the relationship between oneself and one's mother, yes. And so the closest of the closest, yes. And so, yes, we use that, as home, yeah. And so, but if there's I don't know, theoretical person next to it, then from that point of view, it's very clear that we are perfect strangers to each other, yeah? No matter how close we think we are to each other. And it's not wrong, but at the same time, it's not to say it's completely right, that's it, But that opposite opinion is interesting. And so therefore, now to form a relation between anyone, which we say now, friends. Yes? No blood ties. Yes? And actually that should be a very challenging journey, actually. Yes? Because no relation at all, actually. Yeah. And so each of these are, I think, very interesting aspect of how the mind can function, you know. And so, some time ago, I said something about either one could say excuse or a reason, you know, because we would like to have a purpose, of course, for life. In order to live, you know, we want a purpose. Yes, we have common terms like we need a belonging, and so therefore, blood ties are one of the most classical reasons, purpose, to say, you know, we share the same blood, we share this and that, you know, we share the same family, parents, then all the way to things like food, I don't know, recipes and so on. And so friends is a very adventurous journey because it seems very far away. Then of course we have things like race, you know, culture, all those things. Each of them are none other than either, one could say, similar to the tone of no teacher, you know, by saying they are all just excuses. Or, but if you put it in a nicer way, they are just reasons, you know, to say, yes, we are very similar. And so, when we generalize as in the best possible way, then is to say, we are all human beings. Then further on, then we can say things like, we are all sentient beings, you know. Yeah. And so, sometimes through that relation something good can come, and sometimes disturbing things can come. Yes, no guarantee. Yeah. But nevertheless, it's not to say we need, you know, but we only have one sort of stomach, let's say, to be able to digest, you know, or we can only eat one spoon at a time, you know, with that kind of logic, yes. And so therefore, since we have to go through one rebirth at a time, yes, because at the moment our condition is such, yes. Otherwise, we can go through several lifetimes at a time, you know, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, millions, billions, and so on. It's possible. But at the moment, our condition, our temporary condition here, is such that we can only go through one at a time. Yeah. Even though countless are going one at a time also, you know. But we don't either notice it or we don't want to notice it. But it's working in work already. Like I said yesterday, karma is at work, you know. So, for example, each of our organs in this very body, yes, they're all living, you know, together, yeah, in one go. Yeah. But either we don't notice that or we don't want to notice it. And so therefore we would like to just round that up, you know, easy number, to say one. So then it becomes I. Yeah. We try to say we, but it becomes complicated, you know. And so therefore the practical one is to say I, yes. So, yeah, these are the things maybe far, far away from the topic of Guru Yoga, but nevertheless they do contribute, yeah, to have a far more wholesome idea about the Guru Yoga. Yeah. So, yeah, we need to become more aware of these things, more watchful, observant of these things. Then we will have a better picture of Guru Yoga. Yeah. To say what is Guru Yoga directly, we will be able to force out yes/no answers, But then it will become, it will be not satisfactory, because it's just sort of like saying tip of the iceberg or something. So then, having established that very roughly, then yes, Guru Yoga is just like saying family, friends, Very skillful, immensely skillful. It's an immensely skillful term, it's an immensely skillful idea, and it's an immensely skillful practice. Yeah. Because you and I, or someone and someone, have probably no common ground whatsoever, bordered by all kinds of elements, language, culture, race, mentality, all sorts of things. Yeah. Yet at the same time, just like how we say, in certain culture, family is everything, and in certain culture, friends is everything, Asia seems to have been for a long time family-based, and other parts more friend-based, this is just my rough estimation. I'm not saying this is it. That certain cultures prioritize friendship more than family, yes, and some the opposite. Each have their own plus and minus. Yeah. Probably the plus part is that now, as I said, we can only eat one spoon at a time, so we resort to one, we accept. I don't know if it's really real acceptance, but probably it's more closer to say to resort, to one, And then now use that as a basis and then see what we can build, Out of that relation, what can we build, how can we make it meaningful? So so that we have a starting point. And so likewise, the Guru Yoga is, yes, completely made up, just like the idea of family or friend. Yeah. But skillful. Yeah. Because now we cannot say, everything in one go, because, like I said, one spoon at a time, yes? Or one life at a time. So therefore, we make use of one particular method, and in this case we say Guru Yoga. Probably it's more on a base of friendship, yeah, than blood, Yeah. Often it is the case, yeah. If you have a guru that is related, becomes very tricky, yeah. because we think we have a leverage, And so often it is better if it's an outsider. Yeah. Well, that should branch off all kinds of thoughts, So, the purpose of it, well, I don't really need to talk about the purpose. What was your question concerning the Guru Yoga? You forgot? Okay.
It was your thoughts on Guru Yoga. So
Huh?
it was your thoughts on
My
Guru
thought,
Yoga.
okay, yeah, okay.
So it's a perfect answer.
I have many thoughts, yes. So, it's skillful, and the minus part I think I covered more or less, yes. But beside all the miraculous aspects and the emotional aspects, just like the term here of this book, immortality, yes, or Tibetan term chime, if you think from that perspective, maybe it's interesting. Yeah, it's. I don't like to use the term test, but it forces us to use the term test. Yeah. You wouldn't know about cricket, yes? But the highest form of that sport is called test match. And so the term might suggest as if this is just practice, and it's not the real thing. But it is the real thing. But the name is test match, and it's supposed to be the most difficult one. Yeah. So in that sense, maybe we can use the word test, without saying the Creator is testing you, But yes, how much can we devote, How much of concentration we can have, focus, a devotion, everything, How is it possible? Yes. And, well, the common logic would be impossible. Yeah. That there will be a breaking point, at some point. Yet at the same time, if you widen our perspective, yes, it is possible. There are signs and proofs that it's possible. Because the relationship between a mother and a child is such that the truth is they are strangers to each other. But my goodness, the kind of bond that they could have, that particularly for the mother, till way after either the child is gone or till the end of her days, it's constant focus, constant attention, constant devotion. Yeah. Of course, I'm talking about a dedicated one, a good relation, yes? And if that's possible, yes, because blood relation is only a reason, not more. Because we have all sorts of blood relations, yes? Yet we don't connect. Yes. But it's not really to say when it's used right, but any excuse, in this case even a blood relation, when it's cherished, yeah, rather than saying used, when it's cherished, it's unbelievable, It is possible in this sense, not impossible. Yeah. So if you think in that way, that all these terms or relations are just reasons, and to kind of balance out blood relation and non-blood relation, yes. Then Guru Yoga probably is possible. Yeah. Because of course, until our mind is awake enough, till then we need this feeling, yes. I have no other way to say but need, this feeling. That from this person, no matter what I do, that I will never be judged. Even if I become a criminal, that I will still be looked after, thought of, yes. And it's the most amazing feeling, yes. That this person will fight for you, this person will, go to the ends of the world for you, And so when this thing comes, then whether it's blood or no blood doesn't matter. And then we can understand why sometimes we favor friends over blood, And sometimes it's possible or more logical that it's coming from blood relation. Yeah. So Guru, often when it's distorted, then it's from the obvious starting point, we see it like a master, of a slave or something. But it's more of the other way. Yeah, it's more like a mother, yeah, rather than a father. Yeah. Of course, often we use the symbolic term father in this case, yes, to make it more prominent, to make it more impressive, like a lion, yes. But the one who really does the job is the lioness, yes. It's not the lion, yeah. Lion is very impressive, of course, yes, but it's often just sleeping, yes. And gets bothered by the cubs, Whereas the lioness, no matter how ferocious she is, how intimidating she may be, there is always that soft touch, yes. That with her sharp fangs she can carry you and not damage you. Yes. So yes, Guru Yoga, it's, I think, more of a relationship to a mother, I would say. Yeah. But then we don't want to look weak as the student, and so therefore probably it's more I don't know, one could feel more proud to say it's my father, father and son, to really establish my territory, But it's actually more of a relationship between, well, not necessarily a son in this case, but that of between children and mother. Yeah. It's a delicate balance, but nevertheless, it's closer to that. Yeah. Because they don't judge you, actually. Yeah. Yes, the outer or the exterior aspect is more like a father. To be constantly saying, no, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, But the compassion aspect of the guru or the teacher is more like a mother. Yeah. Because it's not that sweet, sugary compassion, no, but it's more of that part where there is no real judgment. Yeah. Because as a sentient being, we are utterly hopeless, in that sense. If we think of ourselves as sentient being, we are utterly hopeless. In a nice way, like a baby, But in a not nice way, like a hopeless adult, Hopeless addict, hopeless warmonger, I don't know, whatnot, Human trafficker, yes, worst of the worst, hopeless, So, yet, if they are able to accept that part, well, that so-called teacher must have a big stomach, And so therefore now to awake this particular student up from that confused state, obviously it's like entering a rehab, yes. So therefore it's not that smooth. Yeah. It is sort of tough, yes. And so therefore I think children can understand, even if their parents are tough, whether it is coming from love or if they are showing their toughness on the children out of simply frustration, they can recognize. Similarly, we can recognize as students if our teacher, if they are tough on us, if it's coming from a good heart, meaning out of compassion, or, well, they're not teachers at all, It's coming from their frustration of keeping up with their title of being a teacher. Yeah. So it's a fine line. Yes. There is no real manual guide as to which is the right way. Yeah. It's almost impossible. Yeah. But if there is one, is those simple aspects, is to say we have the common sense, or we have the wisdom. Very blunt, but we have the common sense, yeah, to kind of recognize, to break through. Yeah. So a loving mother trying to guide the children in a rough way, But we have the common sense to recognize that it's not what is the term in English? I don't remember. Well, it's basically it's not out of emotion. Yeah. It's not out of negativity. Yeah. It's not being mean. Yeah. So we have to have a bit of trust in that. Yeah. Trust in our common sense. So meaning if we give in to our emotions, then it will be more difficult for us to recognize a true teacher. Yeah. Meaning, if we make ourselves more helpless than we are, because there is no shame in admitting that we are kind of helpless, but then that's good, that's healthy, But then we shouldn't make ourselves even more helpless by further, becoming a vegetable or something, Then we will not give ourselves the chance to actually have some productivity. Yeah. So that's why the Bodhisattva's guide or way, often one of the main advices are to say, don't be lazy, or things like, be more diligent, and so on. It's not saying, it's not about, be tough and so on, but it's more about sort of, to say, stay in your own level, We may be helpless, but be there, We don't have to de-evaluate or, make ourselves lesser than that. Because then we will not recognize at all. Then we will have no common sense. But if we are in that range of accepting exactly where we are, then actually we will be able to pretty much recognize the teacher or the mother, So, that's it. Yes? The microphone is sleeping.
Dear Karmapa, yesterday you said I need control my dreams. Should I find some methods on the internet? Or are there any Buddhist practice I can use?
Okay. Caffeine?
A lot of caffeine already.
Okay. No, there are methods on the internet, yes. And there are methods in the library also, yes. I have many thoughts, of course, about this case, yes. But I cannot give prescription, the right one, because I really don't know exactly your actual condition. So therefore, I'm pretty much generalizing, or giving a very general advice. And so therefore, yes, in general, there are ways to make use of even sleep, you know. But this is something that is sort of based more on an individual case. Yeah. And so therefore I cannot honestly give you a direct instruction on how to go about it. Yeah. But otherwise, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. Probably you'll commit less crime than the rest of us, you know. Innocent as a baby, you know. But probably you can tweak certain things in terms of before you sleep. Maybe try to motivate yourself that maybe, well, it sounds strange, you know, but to say I sleep with some form of awareness, you know, that I don't just pass out, but instead this is my maybe health condition, you know, or a genetic condition, and so therefore this is my current state, and so since I'm more aware of it, I'm more accepting of this condition, and before going to sleep, then to say, hopefully through it I may be able to accumulate some good karma. I don't know how, but nevertheless, maybe in this case that I'm resting, hopefully for a good cause, you know, no matter how strange it sounds. And every time you wake up, you tell yourself that I woke up from having motivated myself in a good way before I slept, and so hopefully I might have generated some good karma. And now that I am awake, I dedicate that, you know. So in simple forms like that, maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Pa. Then after.
In the practices like Sojong, Monlam, Chenrezig, Dorje Sempa, there is a big emphasis on confession. So the question is, what are the mechanics of confession? How it should be done properly so that we can truly confess? Yeah.
You mean confession, not compassion?
Confession, yes.
Confession.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Tujicha.
Okay. Yes. I suppose the Tibetan term for it is shakpa, you know, shakpa. And the closest thing we can find in the English term is confession. Nothing wrong with it, of course. It suits more the culture and the mentality of English language, So in that sense, nothing wrong. But Shakpa is closer to the culture and the mentality of that, meaning closer to Buddhism. Yes. Shakpa is sort of, I don't know how to say it. It's like letting go. Yeah. Because let's say if I have even lied a white lie, yes, it's possible that I may forget, but it's also possible, probably more possible, that I don't forget actually. Yeah. I reserve it, to a certain degree. And maybe for the fact that I actually forget that I have lied is because maybe it was quite prominent to me. And so therefore I find ways to layer it up, And therefore then we have sort of, well, not to say surprise, but as if we feel confused. Yeah. Then confusion comes, And so therefore, Shakpa means letting go. Yeah. But letting go in this case, saying forget it, not in that sense. Like for example, among deaf, if you have a deaf friend, if you lie, you can lie the worst of lies, but it won't matter. Yes. But those who have ears, those who can not just ears but can cognitive, recognize, then to them it becomes a lie. Yes. So that's how karma works. Yes. So then, I suppose we have to use the term confess, but basically the point is being honest, and we share it, we pronounce it, announce it, yes. And so it's not easy, of course, because unless you have a good environment, meaning those who can understand, if you just publicly announce, either it would not mean anything, or it will make the situation worse, sort of thing, So therefore, that's why we say Sangha or something. I don't know how well we use that term, actually, but within that environment, it's like within the environment of mentally disturbed, Probably that's closer to a Sangha. We accept that we are all mentally disturbed in this hall, And therefore we have probably a better outcome for being honest. Yeah. Because we all want to be not disturbed, of course, and be free from it, yes. And so there's a general understanding, yes. And so therefore, it's a proper environment. Otherwise, yes, it could probably create more confusion. Yeah. So Shakpa is sort of letting go, yeah. That I don't hold it anymore, yeah. Yet at the same time, this is also a very fine line, as I've just said so far. because now we need to be also skillful, you know. Even to be honest, we need to be a little bit skillful. We cannot just randomly be honest, you know. Like we cannot, just because we are friends, I cannot randomly talk about my level of flatulence, you know. It's kind of disturbing, yes. So you need a sense of, common sense, yes. When, where, who, you know, how, all of that is important. Yeah. And so therefore there is, we say, oh, we create a center, all that. The main reason of having a center or having a group or something is so that it's not to become groupies, of course, but it's the genuine intention is so that then we can begin to be a little bit more understanding. Yeah. So that then I can open up, in short. Yeah. And not end up in tabloids, you know. And so creating a safe environment, and then from there, then hopefully we can progress, you know. Because once that is out, there's a sense of great relief, freedom, yes. And then, in fact, most of even physical illness or symptoms or not being able to sleep, not having high blood pressure, or all of those things goes away, you know. And then you are left with really just the actual, if there is an illness now, then now that's a real illness, you know. If you have diabetes or if you have this disease or that disease, now that's a real one. It's really just karmic one, you know. Whereas at the moment we don't know which is karmic and which is, you know, just due to not being able to let go, you know. And so sometimes we may do a lot of pujas, but it doesn't work because we haven't, well, in this case, done the confession. So therefore pujas seem useless, you know. So, yeah, actually in that sense it's more simple. Yeah. But have to have, as you said, the technicality of it is we have to have common sense. Yeah. That we can talk about it to maybe a senior member now who also has experienced in having opened up, you know. They also had their history and they have opened up, they were guided properly, and now they are experienced, you know. To them you can open up. Let's say you open up to a newcomer, you might most likely, you know, blow out their hope of, you know, of their enthusiasm, you know. Although from your part you didn't mean to do that, you just meant to be honest, you know. But to them all their hopes die, just because you opened up. So it's like saying to a doctor, then you can be close and talk very close, you know. And they will not be disturbed by your bad breath. Yes. They will think, okay, either it's the teeth or you have something wrong with your gut, you know. But to a stranger, if you do, then they don't want to talk to you, you know. Yeah. So something like that. Yeah. So one has to be a little bit skillful. Yeah. Now, on the other hand, since Buddhism has taken a great root, or the Tibetans, we as Tibetans have cherished Buddhism for a long time, more than, compared to the globalization of Buddhism, let's say. We have taken a little too extreme in this case, in terms of being skillful. That to a point where we kind of almost have bottled up. Meaning that we know that it's kind of we need to be extra careful about opening, because there's a lot of risk, in this case not just to yourself but to others, and so therefore in this case we don't need to go to that extent, but at the same time not to be a complete, as we say, open book, that's also not the way. We need to be sensible. We know that we need to open up, but we need to find the right environment. So it doesn't mean, again, in this case, to find someone very, very understanding, where we can continue to do many wrongdoings, not in that sense, but someone who's really understanding enough where they can accept it, yet at the same time they are also strong enough, skillful enough, smart enough to guide you, so that you won't repeat it again. Because it's maybe it's difficult to admit that I'm an alcoholic, yes. But a good friend would be someone who can accept that without judgment, yet at the same time now make sure that you don't fall. So sangha in that sense. Clear? Or? Okay. I don't know who it was, so okay, you. And after, yes, after.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. My question, in extent to the theme of compassion or confession. Sorry. You just said that we need to be honest.
Yes.
And in the practice of Sajong, we are talking about heavy deeds, stealing from Sangha and etc.
Yes.
But to be honest, in that life, I don't remember that I steal from Sangha. And is it skillful method, or maybe how to deal with that in the right way in this practice of Sajong? Thank you.
Well, I think it's probably a continuation of what I said. We know what we need to do. On the other hand, like I said, it's possible that we forgot. We don't remember. That's also there. And probably it is due to that sometimes obstacles come. We just cannot figure out exactly what are the cause for those obstacles. Maybe it's because in the past we did something and we either neglected completely, or we were too busy, I don't know. Maybe we had an accident and before we could repair it, we happened to pass away or something, So, those things are possible. Yeah. But the point here that I'm trying to make is that we need to be skillful. We need to be honest, but in a skillful way. Yeah. If we just completely open up, just with the thought that being honest is good, sometimes creates more disturbances. Yeah. For oneself, for others, and one may even regret, After having opened up, then one regrets that, if I only didn't do that, maybe things would be better. Then that's not a good thing, of course. Because the point is to be honest, yes? So, yes, skillful, yeah. But skillful not in a way that we bottle up, and can be completely closed. Yeah. So, yes. So, yeah, that's all I can say at the moment. Yes. Yes.
Dear Karmapa, I have one question about suffering. This year we lost our friends in car accident, and I lost my husband. We used to come here together, and also on Nyungne with Rinpoche. And for them it was actually perfect, because their Lama, Ole, bless them, Rinpoche made puja for them. You also bless them many times, because many people sent you pictures. And my question is how to stop suffer, blame myself, and feeling sorry, like myself. That's it. Thank you.
Of course, condolences, and of course, prayers are there from my side as well as from everyone, of course. But I think we kind of know that even though emotion kind of makes us lean towards blaming, meaning finding a reason, but like I said, we have either one could say our common sense, or we kind of know that that's not the right way. Yeah. So we know it, If you don't know, then of course it's another case, but we know. For example, it can be a case where I happen to ask someone to get, medicine, to go buy medicine from the local store or something. and therefore someone passed away due to that, and during that time maybe there was an accident or something. Yes, of course, we can draw the conclusion that I'm involved in that in some way, if I only didn't ask, you know. But no, that's just our emotion sort of forcing us to think that way, I think. Yeah. Whereas it's difficult to say it's completely karma, of course, you know, as if it's destined to pass away like that. Yeah. Then that makes us think that as if I cannot do anything. Yes. And is it about saying it's 50-50? That's also not the way, of course. And so all that we can just simply throw it away. Yeah. It's just that life is unbelievably unpredictable. That's one fact we can accept or try to accept. And then based on that, maybe something good can come. Yeah. Not in terms of making things okay, you know, like a justification. Not in that sense, but it's a completely different thing. Yeah. Because what has now happened has already happened. And or let's say we are moments away from happening also, you know. Do we have really control over it? If there was a possible to change things, change the circumstances? No, not at all. Even if we were able to you know, be in that position where before it happens, can we change things? Can we alter things? No. We have no idea, or we have no way of predicting what will happen afterwards, you know. Completely different. Yeah. So what we are left with is this very moment. Yeah. And now how we use this very moment is all that matters. Yeah. So blaming seems in some ways natural, you know, but there is no reason to blame oneself or others or anything. It's completely meaningless. Yeah. The term, I think the birth of how the term blame came into being is, I think, such that to say it's useless, you know, but it's not to use it, I think. Yeah. But if you don't have a term for it, then we would not know how to express that, yes. So, the deceased one or the loved one, is he or she, for anyone for that matter, are they on the right track? Are they happy? Of course, those are our natural concerns, yes? But there is nothing to worry about that, actually. Yeah. Their state would be completely different from ours, in ways we cannot imagine, actually. Yeah. Logically, we can put two and two together, and there is quite a good idea of where that person might be, you know. If that person lived a good life, maybe might be having a good rebirth. If that person lived a I don't know, a difficult life, then similar, something like that. But the actual outcome is completely unpredictable. Yeah. I'm not saying that there is no karma, not in that sense. But the whole reality of how that person may be experiencing is completely different. Because right now we are only thinking of that person from our current state, So like I said, in the past few days, who knows? Maybe next time round I will be a fish, And so therefore I have no need to worry about, the human challenges, I have other challenges to worry about. I have to worry more about bigger fishes, So it's completely different. Yeah. So the point is, the concern, the worry, that's a good sign. Yeah. That's a sign that you are pretty much awake. Yeah. If there is no worry, if there is no concern, maybe that's not so healthy, But now, should you should you bury yourself in that worry? Should you just be burdened by that experience, that loss, that feeling of loss? And then, how to say, our common sense will naturally say that that's not the way to go. Because, yes, we can make it as heavy as we want, and so that we feel I'm either mourning or I'm grieving, I'm doing something for my part, which almost kind of feels right, yes, but that's not the way, of course, because what will happen is at some point we will simply not be able to carry that weight, which is kind of made, built, not natural, yes. And so therefore we will want to alleviate ourselves from there and not know that it was built. Then once, somehow, one way or the other, once we are free from that, we will be falling into very strangely in a similar state, meaning back to a place where we will basically repeat. Yeah. So, in short, all I can say, I'm maybe not explaining things or answering clearly, yes? So, in short, I will say that there's not much to worry for the fact that he also have, taken part in the Sojong vow. I'm sure there is great benefit, yeah, but we cannot imagine the benefit, yeah. We can only imagine the benefit in our own way right now, yes. A better rebirth, a God rebirth, and so on, or a higher rebirth, or a human rebirth. In short, there's not much to worry, yeah. Now, what you have to do is live this life in the most beneficial way. Yeah. Now that's something, whoever it is, in this case, your partner will be able to experience it, appreciate it, yeah. Even though they may not have omniscience or anything like that, but they can experience it. Yeah. For example, for no reason we can enjoy a good day, yes? For no reason the day is nice, you know? For no reason the same cup of tea that we always drink is more tastier. For no reason the walk seems so, I don't know, alive, you know? For no reason. We would think maybe it's just I'm healthy maybe today, or today is my lucky day, or something. Yes. Whenever something like that happens, it's someone else who's accumulating merit. Yeah. Someone you know, someone that you're related to, blood or no blood, you know, doesn't matter. And so there is an effect. Yeah. So therefore, you don't have to feel that, you know, you are completely disconnected, or now there's a huge vacuum or something. No, and there isn't. So now it's all about you yourself doing your very best to live, well, an honest, good life. Hopefully with a lot of practice. Yeah? That's all I can say.
Thank you. Thank you, Karmapa.
So, then, if there are no more questions, then we will focus on Genrizik for this time. Oh, there's one there. Pachi, you would say.
Thank you, dear Karmapa, for sharing your thoughts with us, and thank you, precious teachers, for also this past course. If you could just give maybe some short advices on, especially the practice of Lojong, which we were getting wonderful teachings from Khenpo Tsering about. If you can just give us some short advices for how we actualize and put into use the both ultimate and relative bodhicitta in kind of a short way that we can bring forward, you know, in our practice and in our everyday life. That would be wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. For those of us who grew up in environments where we would memorize text, I would say we really appreciate that a lot. Or I very much appreciate that. Yeah. Of course, we had the fortune of having really good translated literatures to memorize, of course, which is naturally in Tibetan, yes, which is very easy, well, not that easy, but quite easy to translate into our colloquial Tibetan language. So, from very small, we were taught to memorize many texts, yes, and I'm not saying that's it, you know, that's the method, but that thought naturally came into mind right now. And the reason is similar to also reading a lot, yeah? Meaning not to create a book club and read and say I have read thousands of books for this year and so on, and achieve a milestone, you know, not in that sense. Of course, it's better than doing lots of other meaningless things, you know. But in this case, reading meaning actual literatures that are undisputed, you know. So, meaning composed by you know, well-known bodhisattvas, you know. In this case, particularly for the Lojong, I think the Bodhicaya Avatara by Shantideva is it. Yeah. There's nothing like it. Yeah. It's extensive as you can get. Yeah. So think in that term, and don't think of the number of chapters. Don't think in terms of the thickness of the book, but think it's extensive. Yeah. And just read. Yeah. Meaning, just like how we normally read all kinds of novels and self-help books, you know, pretty much we can read it in the same fashion. Yeah. But in this case, don't read just once, you know, but keep reading. Yeah. Over and over and over again, just like how we would say, you know, until the rosary is almost gone, you know. Of course, that's not a thing to prove, but similarly, until the book is completely tattered, you know. And there is something there, yeah. Beside the formal meditation and practice, you know. Because at the end of the day, who are we? Yes, nothing but a pattern of habit. Yeah, nothing else. I remember that line from a movie. We are nothing but shadows and dust, Maximus. You know. So, shadows and dust, Maximus. Of course, when it's voiced out by a good actor, it's like that, yes. Yeah, we're just nothing but patterns of habit, you know. Yeah. Because how I was yesterday is pretty much gone today. Yeah. And on a scientific level, they can kind of pretty much prove that, yes. After, I don't know, more than 24 hours or something, all the cell has completely changed or something. But somehow the pattern is more or less there. So therefore, our fingerprints don't change. Our DNA more or less don't change. So, yeah. So we're nothing but that habitual pattern. And so it's all about creating certain habits, you know. And then according to that pattern, something happens, yeah. And so therefore, the more we memorize the text, the more we read those literatures, then because every moment and every day is completely different and kind of chaotic, something or the other occurs, you know, in the form of obstacle or, I don't know, accident or something. And the very words that we have memorized, the very literature that we have memorized, just, you know, fits right there together. And you almost feel like the prediction came true, sort of thing, you know. Of course, it's not prediction, yes. And then we will naturally open up, yeah, more than just the formal practice. Formal practice, of course, is beautiful. Yes, there's nothing like it. There is its own blessing, there is its own beauty in everything. But we need something a little bit closer to home. Yes, and so I would say such literature is invaluable. Yeah. Yes, it is written long time ago, so therefore some words are a little bit cryptic, a little bit seems almost out of date, you know, because at that time, even though the social structure must have had its own challenges also, you know, but nevertheless a little bit different from now, yes, and so therefore certain cultural and mentality-wise a little bit different, yes, but basically the main structure, the main challenges, the main advices, the main truth is the truth of suffering, one could say, or the truth of conditions and so on. That's unchanging, you know. And how the mind begins to function differently when it's in a different pattern, you know. Because from an ordinary, as we say, ordinary state of mind, there's a readable, understandable pattern, yes. Now we are trying to sort of change that pattern, yes. But obviously we cannot change everything right away. It's not possible. And so therefore it's a gradual change. And as that change happens, the mental state feels more and more put on a spotlight, you know, as if it's being interrogated. And so as a result, then the mind begins to vibe out lots of strange symptoms, you know, of I don't know, justifying that I'm innocent, you know. And so therefore all those level of experience is described in the whole series of chapters. And so therefore it's a complete prediction in some ways, you know, or a diary, you know. And so therefore naturally it will help the lojong, it naturally helps the mind training, and there's nothing like it. Yes, 37 practice of Bodhisattva is something that is easier to memorize, easier to read, but it's too condensed, you know. And so therefore, until we have understood, have some good coordination with literature like the Bodhicaya Avatara, to use the shortcut is a little bit difficult. Yeah. Once we know the Bodhicaya Avatara well, then the 37 practice literature is really useful because it's a shortcut, you know. Yeah. Okay, I think there is no one, so yeah, okay. Oh, there is. I think there is one there.
Thank you very much for all these precious teachings. I just would like to have a question about the present moment. Today, Kempula mentioned that, but also I would like to hear a little bit about that from you, please.
About?
Present moment.
Present moment. Well, actually, there's not much to talk about present moment. I mean, either one can talk a lot about it, or there is just nothing to talk about. The reality is something like that. Yeah. Meaning, on the one hand, being able to talk a lot about it is everything, you know. How I am feeling, am I hungry, am I sitting comfortably, am I worried, all sorts of things. Everything that we can think of, you know, everything that we can not think of, but everything that we feel in this present moment, experience in this present moment, that's it, you know. But at the same time, on the other hand, not being able to talk about it is, how do we describe all of those in one word, let's say, you know. It's impossible. Yeah. And so therefore, we don't find the right or adequate term for it, beside maybe something like, I don't know, or, you know, or something. Yeah. So, of course, poetically, then we can put together by saying something like, it's not stuck, yeah, and it's not going anywhere. Probably that's the best way to describe it. Yeah. Past is to, well, talking about past and future is pretty much a way to talk about the present at the end of the day. Because there is no real past, there is no real future, it's just because all we can experience and know is this moment, which we are doing all the time. But because it's either, one could say, you know, clockwise, it's too fast. And so therefore we resort to using concepts to talk about it. And so therefore, to make sense, you know. Otherwise, just to talk about the present, maybe we have to use either constantly, you know, English language-wise, what's the term? Vowel and constant, what was it? Consonant? You know, verb and noun, yes. Verb and noun, verb and noun, verb and noun, you know. Let's say if you use a succession of verbs or if you use a succession of nouns, does it make sense? Yes? Just name after name after name, you know. I'm sure there are languages like that also, but at the moment it's not familiar to us. So therefore, we need to put verb and a noun, you know, in such a way that it kind of works, you know, sensible enough, yes. So therefore, we come up with things like past and future and so on, yeah. But that's about it. In reality, either we can talk about it or we just cannot talk about it. Yeah. So, well, in order not to have awkward silences, then because of that fact, then we try to talk, more, and it feels nice, of course. It feels alive. We recognize the moment it is just a repetition, We can sense it already if it's tape recording, That's why some people have difficulty in listening to New Age music, yes, because one can spot that it's a repetition. Yes? So therefore, we need something irregular, Yeah. And so the only notes we have are past, present, and future, And then with just those three, then we create all kinds of ideas, So it's just music, and nothing else. So it depends on each, one could say karma, depending on each culture. Every time when there's a human condition, accordingly they will come up with very intricate ways to talk about present or past or future, same thing, but as those who can make more musical, the more enjoyable it is. Yes. With a lot of surprises, cliffhangers, and not just also music, so that there is this, hope or excitement or curiosity about what the next note would be. And then, yes, I guess that's why then we go for movies or, read a novel or an interesting book, It's more for that. Yeah. But the actual present moment or actual past or actual future, nothing to talk about. It's completely the same thing. Yes?
And about this moment when we do meditation,
Yeah.
it's like we try to be on the present moment when we do meditation, right?
Yeah, sort of. Yes, that's what we say, yes, to focus on the present moment. But do you like it, That's the thing. If you don't like it, it's no meaning at all. Yeah? Just because someone said so, it's not it. Yeah? So therefore sometimes we force ourselves, and it's boring, and after some time really painful. Because when we try to really focus on the present moment during meditation, what is the thing that happens a lot? Thoughts. Thoughts, yes? All kinds of thoughts, It's like saying, don't think. And it's the same thing, same effect like to say, don't think of this elephant or something, yeah? Same thing. So for the fact that we said don't think, suddenly more thoughts that we could possibly produce actually comes into being, So maybe it's a test, or in cricket terms, test match. Because then that's the thing you deal with, you know. But now in this case you know that those are either by habit or you know, the aftermath of a habit, you know, the residual effect, you know, of all the previous thoughts, like an echo that comes, which will slow down eventually, yes. So with enough meditation you can detect that there are echoes, and slowly you can experience the reduction of echoes, you know. And then you probably come closer to, well, not to say something more real, but the in-between note, you know, the pause. And so now that's another challenge, yes. We don't know what to deal with that pause. We don't know how to deal with that silence. Yeah. It can be very, very overwhelming, that silence. Initially very difficult to get to, yes, because we have been too busy, yes. But now that we have given enough time, have put in a bit of effort, and so now we have quiet our mind, you know. And so now, for the first time, we initially get some glimpses of that in-between note, one could say. Then we can just, of course, focus on that more and more, and well, it's not really to say prolong it, but to be, well, I suppose first is there's an excitement, you know, and the excitement comes out in a form of saying, now I know how to meditate, you know. But that's just because for the first time we have experienced a glimpse of that pause. Yeah. But is that everything? Oh, obviously not. Yes. And so, can we just keep that on forever? Sure, you know, we can do that. Yes. But then we try to be. Not we try to be, but now we need to give it some meaning. Well, of course, it's not really giving meaning. It's just basically you're trying to. You did your very best till now to block the wave, sort of thing, and you experience that pause, but it comes after some time. And so now what we are trying to do differently this time is, rather than experiencing a note that just came out of nowhere, this time round we're trying to say, I am the creator, sort of thing, you know. I am making the note. I'm in charge of it. I am the composer. I am the musician, you know. Rather than just hearing all sorts of strange noises, you know, that we feel like it's either an accident or a fluke or done by others, you know. In this case, let's say I'm doing it, you know. So it may sound like brainwashing, but it's not really. In this case, you are trying to write that note, you know. It is true that it just happens, you know. But in this case, you are saying, I'm in charge of it, so therefore you're kind of writing it. So you go with the same flow. in order to ride it, you must have, you must be courageous, of course, and at the same time, you have to know that it's a wave. You have to recognize it. That's why we say we need awareness, you know. So mindfulness comes into being. Calm abiding already, we should have taken place already, just to have experienced that in between the note, you know. So therefore, meaning to be able to drive a car, you need to know that it's a car. Yes, you need to know how to drive, and but once you are very, very familiar, you don't even realize that you are driving. Yes, and then you can do other things. You can talk. You can think. You can do many things. Yes, so like that, you know. So basically, first sign you feel when you feel that oh, now I know meditation, is because you discovered the in-between note. Now, if you're really going somewhere, scratching the surface of the vipassana, then maybe it's you discover that, you know, you cannot stop thoughts. You know. Yes, it was a luxury to be able to focus on the in-between note. You know. It's not really the case where you prolonged or you paused the notes, you know. It's more of you zoomed in on it. You know what I mean? If you zoom in on a rough surface, after some time it's flat, you know. Or if you completely zoom out, again it's flat. In between there you can see a wave, yes. So therefore, with the shamatha, all you did was first to get a grip. You just got to that optimal level, as they say, where you can just see a flat note, you know, meaning no note, no wave. Yes. But now you zoom out, or either way, same thing. Now you can see either the rise or the fall, you know, of the note, yes. But this time you are aware of it, so that's what I mean by you're riding it, you know. So, yes, there is that jittery or excitement, you know. But hopefully you are brave enough. And so therefore you now go along with it, you ride it. And yeah, it's something like that. Yeah. So therefore, I think to understand the present moment is not that difficult, I think. But yes, well, I think I was about to talk about the motivation before the practice of the present moment. But maybe I already talked about it already, because I said you need courage, yes? So courage is none other than compassion, of course, yes? So therefore, before the focus, before focusing on the present moment, the motivation is very, very important. Yeah. Otherwise, we are meditating, we are seeing the present or experiencing the present, but now it's like a tornado, you know, or a whirlpool where we don't know what's happening, you know. There's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of enjoyment, but that's about it. Yes. So therefore, the motivation is very important. That's why before beginning any activity, we recite the refuge and the four immeasurables, yes. As long as we know the meaning, we don't even need to recite the words maybe. But I'm just saying for practical reasons, okay? So that the point is that you know that I'm doing it, I'm focusing on the present moment, for what? For them, or something like that, you know? And then there's a sense of courage, you know, when you ride the roller coaster. Yeah. Because you cannot stop the notes, or you cannot stop the roller coaster. Not that there is one, but karmically, what we see, whatever it is in the form of notes, in the form of a roller coaster. Yes. And so, instead of being afraid of it, we need to ride it. And in order to ride it, we need a good motivation. And that is none other than compassion. Yeah. Then maybe we are onto something. Yeah. So, during the ride, there is no thought of past, present or future. Yeah. All there is just that ride. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then...
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, I think... anyway, you are hearing everything, so... Okay, last one. Last one.
Excuse me, just confirmation.
Yeah.
So the confession in all of our practices,
yes.
It's not about the meditation, it's about acting and speaking up. Is this correct?
No, not correct. I mean, correct in a way. Letting go part, yes, it's correct. In the definition of it is none other than to let go, yeah, and make it transparent, make it known. I mean, eventually, like I said, first we initiate the confession within the Sangha, yes. Then slowly, as we gain more courage, then we can open up more and more, you know, go beyond, you know, until we are almost invisible, you know. Confession in that sense, you know, yeah. So, as I said, the benefit of it is that then there is no anxiety anymore, yes. Meditation-wise, then of course now we are trying to, I suppose, focus on the well, using analytical mind, yes, analytical mind, by then breaking through. Because confess, initially it is as if there is something to confess, yes? It means that my past is still real, yes? So, for that sake, we do the groundbreaking, I don't know, the ground level, you know, the first level form of confession, yes? Then we are more comfortable, we are anxiety-free, because now I have nothing to hide, yes? Which makes you either very good or very dangerous in some because now you will do almost anything, you know, at any moment. You know, you become a So, but then, of course, we don't want to become a terrorist. So, therefore, now it's not a case where now I am free because I have no more past or something like that, but then we slowly examine and see now exactly where are we hanging out, or hanging in, or hanging on to. It could be the part of I, it could be the part of am, many places still, we can have only one place which is I, to hide or to hang. But like I said, just like the idea of zooming in and zooming out, it's not as plain as I, When you either zoom in or zoom out, again you can see intricate aspect of the I. Yeah. Like from a certain distance, we can see the planet Earth almost a dot. Yes. But when you zoom in, you see it's not a dot. Yeah. It's so many things, But if you completely zoom out, it's not even a dot, it's gone. Yeah. So, and therefore, analytically, then we have to again, not to destroy per se, but we have to discover at least, the origin of negativity, because we don't want to be constantly confessing. Yes, that would be very tiring. And so therefore we try to discover the origin, and so then naturally we come to the part of emptiness, So obviously meditation is involved, yes, but the ground level is first, as they say in English, when in Rome. So therefore, when in human condition, particularly those with faculty, yes, that's why we say, let me have a precious existence, meaning those where, the faculties are intact and so on. So, otherwise, if you don't want to confess, we can say, may I get human rebirth, but not completely precious, because then we can continue to lie, yes. So, in this case, first we need to cover the ground level, yes. So where we practice, honesty, yes, but not blunt, Otherwise, constantly you will end up in jail for all kinds of, misdemeanor. So therefore, you don't want to waste time, You want to be honest, but at the same time you don't want to waste energy, waste time. And so therefore, first you have to find the right kind of environment. Yeah. But then once you are good there, you don't want to be stuck there also. Meaning that, as they say, bird has to at some point leave the nest, yes? Doesn't want to stay there forever, So meaning, yes, among your friends they know who you are, but then strangers don't know who you are, sort of thing. So in this case then you must sort of again come out of that. Either you do it yourself or the friends will do it for you, so that then you are more and more open, But in the beginning we don't do it all the way. Yeah. Yes. Clear? Okay. Then the last one, one next to the pillar. Well, both of you are next to the pillar. Yes. Yeah, you can ask together.
Yeah, so I make it short. I make it short,
Okay.
and then she
Okay.
can ask. Would you agree that it is for the power of practice most important to do it joyfully? Because I've got a practice I do in the forest when I'm running, and it's very short, and it's praying to Milarepa.
Okay.
And then I sing it
Yeah.
if nobody is coming.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. And I enjoy that the most, and I can do it for 1 hour or so. Is that then, would you say, the best one, the best practice for me?
As long as you like it, there's nothing like it.
Yeah. So, already finished. Thank you.
Yeah, I think mine is connected also with joy, because you touched, talking about Vipassana and Shina, you touched something really important now in my practice, because I think like I don't know, I reached this point when I don't know what to do with this. It's like, it's nice, it's stable, but you said something like that we are reaching this point when what to do with this, just to experience the joy or break it down.
I didn't completely understand the question. Generally I did, yes.
Yeah, you talked about this
Yes.
gap.
Gap, yes. Okay, and then?
And then if to prolong it, because you also mentioned it, and I don't know, maybe I'm just prolonging the gap, and maybe it's a mistake.
No, it's not a mistake. There's nothing wrong with it, nothing can go wrong. But we have to kind of know that we cannot do it indefinitely, you know what I mean? Because it's inevitable that that there will be a change, or there will be a movement, and it's not because there's due to a bad reason or a good reason or any reason at all. Yes, it's just the way it is. Yeah. And so therefore now, in terms of how long we wish to prolong it, it's completely up to us. Recommended not to prolong too long, but one way or the other we will sort of feel that that's good enough, because we will feel that now there's nothing fresh anymore. Yeah. Just like how you feel right now, sort of thing, similar. So therefore, before we get bored, it's good to look forward for the next step. Yes. And like I said, it's not really prolonging. It's more about, as I said, I either correct it or described it further by saying it's more like zooming in. Yes. Like the edge of a knife, from a certain distance it looks sharp, plain, flat, yes. But on a microscopic level, when you really zoom in, it's not flat at all, yes. Already there is constant wave, patterns of waves. So similarly, when we are doing the Shine already, we think it's now calm and serene and so on. It's not. The chaos is already there, way before the discovery of something plain and calm. Yes, it's just we have tuned our mind in such a way so that we are on a certain level, and so therefore we can see a pristine, calm sort of state. Yes. So, it's well, I think the realistic way is that you remain in that state for until you feel comfortable, you feel relaxed, but then that courage should drive you, that motivation should drive you already. Like it's like when you dive into the ocean, those people they have either a string or a watch or something that they say, okay, now it's time to come up, or something, yes? Otherwise, you just keep going down. It's very peaceful, but that's it, you know. So similarly, it's like that motivation or compassion is just like that, where at some point, you know, enough, you know. And then it's that courage will naturally make you look forward for this. Yeah. We could call it chaos, we could call it order, whichever way we like, you know. And now, what kind of a wave it will be, it's completely an individual thing, you know, the next movement or change, escalation or de-escalation, or whichever way we call it. It's completely up to us. Of course, a teacher would normally, if you have one, then would recommend what is most suitable for you, you know. In our case, for example, when we do the Chenrezig right now, Chenrezig is the one, yes. Or if you do Guru Yoga, or if you do mind training, all those are it. I mean, what is it? Mind training and so on. It's Vipassana, of course. So, the point is it's already sort of present, but we just block out, you know, for practical sake. As a beginner, we need to make it a little bit more friendly, so therefore we block out, you know. And then, once we are used to it, then either we will feel stagnant, or we will get lost a bit, and we don't want to be lost again, yes, because we've been there, done that. So, then it's the next step. And in terms of joy, as long as that motivation is there way before the practice of Shine, no problem. Yeah, and the joy will come. The joy itself will push you. Yeah. But if you just do it on its own, let's say, or go to a spa and focus on Shine, sure, you can have a wonderful Shine spa, you know. But then you'll be sort of lost there, and no joy, no inspiration. Yeah. Okay. So then with that, then now we will do Chenrezig. Chenrezig meditation, and then I suppose from tonight, then most of you are departing, I suppose. Because today is the last night, yes? Yeah. So then some of you may be going to Bodh Gaya, some of you might be going home, and so therefore for that I would like to wish all of you a good and safe journey, and wishing the very best for all of you, and may you continue to enjoy the practice. enjoy it in such a way that it's not an the trendy thing to do, but more because you really, really like it. Yeah.